Helldivers is a game, doesn't tell you anything.
Look, ready? Ready?
Yeah.
Draw!
Oh, yeah, he deserved that one.
You're just frozen like a fish stick and dumped into the hot oil of combat since knowing things is far above your pay grade. My name is Commissar Kai, and today we'll be investigating some popular sayings and bits of wisdom to see if they're true. We'll start with one of the more baffling ones. Diving gives you iframes. I only learned about this myth when the Colgate man himself spoke up on it during one of our missions. How you get to be level 150 and think that diving is such a blessed act of freedom expression that it makes you invulnerable, I'll never know. But hey, I've been surprised before, so let's see if it's true. For those of you that don't know, an iframe is when a game gives you a brief period of invulnerability after an action like a dodge, parry, or execution. Think Space Marine 2 when you rip one of the traitors' heads off. So to test if this myth has any merit to it, I came up with a few ideas. If diving like you're the last raccoon to a dumpster party gives you iframes, we should be able to test it out by having a Bile Titan puke on us. These deeply insecure stiletto-wearing maggots barf explosive damage on you. So diving out of the way should prevent us from taking any damage if Liberty blessed us with iframes. Even though you can see us taking damage, there is one issue with this test that we discovered while doing it. Bile Titan puke is a constant stream of damage. So maybe we were avoiding the first few ticks and getting killed by the rest of the splash zone. To eliminate this as a variable, we decided to give it another try using the ultimatum. Our orbital precision strike on a stick is like most other explosives. It does a single pulse of damage once it detonates. If we have iframes, we should be able to dive out of the way and take no damage from the explosion. To test this, I had Damon volunteer to try diving out of the way of the explosion right before it hit. And well, it still didn't work. But Damon is an old man that witnessed the birth of the universe, so maybe his reflexes are just a little slow.
When I hear old enemy, I think an Astro Boy.
That's because you're f***ing ancient, dude. That's the reason. It's you and Damon at the start of time, just watching whatever crayon drawings the cavemen put on the wall.
So I gave it a shot as well, and it didn't go any better. We had one where we thought maybe I avoided the hit with an iframe, but after closer inspection and a few more spent resources, we concluded that no, you do not get iframes from diving away from attacks. But before I label this one busted, we had one more test to conduct using the Lift 182 Warp Pack, since I've seen people claim that it also gives you iframes. For this one, we relied on our girl, Eagle 1, to drop a 500 kilogram bomb on top of us. We would wait a couple of heartbeats and try to warp out just before it went off. As you can see, this didn't work either. No matter how many times we tried to iframe the explosion, the only times we were able to survive is when we warped out of the explosive radius entirely before it went off. I can only assume if you've seen someone warp out of an explosion, it was either because they got out of the range or it was a desync issue. Either way, this one is busted. On to the next one. Melee weapons have light penetration. I know exactly where this one comes from. It's the tooltips and some confusion around an old bug that was patched out. If you look in the armory, every melee weapon, except for the machete, is labeled as light penetration. This is wrong, and I'll show you why. To test this one, we gathered up a crop of hive guard by killing all the other invasive species, since these docile creatures are slow and their entire front is covered in medium armored plates. Next, we took every melee weapon and harvested our crop by humanely stabbing them in the face. Every single melee weapon was able to penetrate right through the armor and even took some chunks of it right off, meaning this is not the same bug that let us stab through the legs of chargers a long time ago. It is the mechanic working as intended. The only melee weapon that is not conclusively medium pen is the gentle touch of your iron fist. I say conclusively because the Colgate man was able to beat one to death with a stim pistol. It just took a while. We weren't sure if this was him occasionally hitting flesh instead of armor, or if the butt of the pistol was actually penetrating through, because you can see E710 spraying out the front plate when he gives them a good whack. But either way, you can stagger them with your gun butt through their medium armor. This one was easy to prove, but I get why Helldivers are confused. The tooltip says they are light pen weapons, and there was that old bug that allowed us to stab through the leg armor of chargers. But even back then, there were only a few instances where you could glitch your weapon through armor to get at the squishy bits underneath. Once that got fixed, people understandably thought the tooltip was now correct, giving birth to this myth. Command, get a handle on it and change this so Helldivers everywhere can share the joy of fixing bayonets without worrying their attacks will bounce off basic armor. I'm declaring this one busted. Safe artillery activation spawns patrols that path towards you. This is a common bit of wisdom that feels accurate, but I had my suspicions, so I wanted to give it a proper test. I think you'll encounter patrols when doing the artillery side objective, not because they purposefully path towards you, or because it spawns extra patrols to hunt you down, but instead it's because you're out in the open making a bunch of noise. To test this, I loaded up a solo mission on the bot front. I put on my scout armor so I could ping around the map and look for patrols, and headed for the artillery objective. If you didn't know, you can tell these are on the map before you drop because you will see this icon on the list of free stratagems before you drop in. I didn't learn this till a few months ago, but it helped keep me from wasting hours trying to find this damn thing. Once I got on the planet, I stealthed my way through the map and posted up at the artillery emplacement. Next, I checked around to be sure there were no patrols, and then I gathered up all the shells and waited.
2 hours later. 1 minute, 37 seconds later. 2,000 years later.
Confident that nothing had seen or heard me, I turned the console on and went back to waiting. I spent about 20 minutes at this damn objective just staring at the map, and there was zero difference in patrol activity pre and post turning on the objective. After a while, I could even predict exactly which path the enemy would take as soon as I spotted them.
He's like looking at me.
Menacingly!
I'm prone behind a wall.
There were a few close calls, like here when this rocket strider tried to sniff me out, but even though the AI clearly knew I was there, they didn't engage and would rubber band back to their patrol when there was enough distance. Another time, I got bored and the ADHD compelled me to run around a bit. A patrol saw me from about 60 meters away, so they came to investigate. But I leaned on my ghost diver knowledge, and after about a minute, they went back to their toaster convention or whatever else clankers do with their worthless existence. The same is true on the bug front, but with one key difference. Bugs are much more sensitive to sound, and they seem more likely to actually path through the objective. But this pathing could be map dependent, so I'm not entirely sure. The only time the bugs almost sniffed me out was when I briefly crouched to get a better look at a patrol. They heard this movement of me getting up to the crouch position and moved in to check it out, but I managed to wiggle my way out of getting detected. I didn't have the patience to check how this works on squids, but I see no reason why it wouldn't be exactly the same. Patrols do not path towards you because you started the objective. They have set paths they will follow and can be avoided using a little bit of stealth knowledge. Myth busted. Next we have saluting the flag makes it raise faster on spread democracy missions. I've known about this one since I was a wee cadet, but for prosperity's sake, let's check it out.
But actually, it's posterity. What's up?
Shut up, I know what I said. For this one, I took a team of my best commandos, and we took this mission on to see if it was true. Thankfully, on level 10s, the mission spawns with 3 flag objectives, which is exactly the amount I needed to test this. For the first one, I told my commandos to protect me while I displayed my commitment to manage democracy. And not at all because I got hungry and wanted a snack. Was it the most scientific choice to do one of our experiments before showing the control group? No, but I prefer to eat my crayons rather than draw with them. For this one, we got a time of 1 minute and 26 seconds with just me saluting. Next, we did our control version where none of us saluted the flag and instead defended it normally. Just holding the ground and fighting took 1 minute and 39 seconds to raise our banner over this formerly fascist soil. Already, you can see a difference in the times, but maybe this is because it takes us a couple of seconds to clear out the last oil cows. So for the last flag raising, we all saluted the flag as much as democratically possible. This was a little harder to do since the bugs didn't want to cooperate, but we got it done much faster than the control version. Definitively proven that yes, saluting the flag does make it go up faster. This myth is confirmed. I'm honestly not sure why we even had to test this one, but our next myth is bots don't take gas or fire damage. Given how hard the orbital napalm barrage melts toasters into more agreeable scrap metal, I don't know why I even have to address this, but apparently some of y'all needed explained in a more simplistic way. Bots are made of metal. Metal does not catch on fire, but Freedom's fire is not just fire. It is spicy oil that sticks to them and burns. Think about the time you liberated a donut from the fryer and burned your fingies. Freedom's fire is like that oil, but instead of burning your favorite trigger finger, you dump it on their head and laugh at the funny beeps and boops they make as they burn. Seriously though, bots are harder to catch on fire, but once lit up, it is just as effective as it is against everything else. If you're using something like the Cookout against the Devastator, for example, it takes 1 to 2 shots to light them up and 2 instances of being set ablaze to put them down for good. Streams of fire are also AP4, so they deal full damage to Devastators and put a hurting on most big targets. You can even kill Factory Striders absurdly quickly with any form of flamethrower by cooking their belly. Humanity's oldest approach to the horrors beyond our comprehension remains intact. You can, in fact, kill them with fire. Gas does the same, but because bots usually have higher health pools, the gas effect alone takes a long time to make a Devastator go night-night. That said, gas is extremely effective against the bots because it makes them shoot randomly and get distracted. So you can use it on groups of bots to make them scrap each other, or use it on something like a Hulk to get it to show you its backside. Both gas and fire are great against the bots, so go nuts. Myth busted. Next we have a controversial one, but it needs talking about. Primary weapons are your primary means of destroying the enemy. This topic has been getting tossed around a lot recently since game balance talks always increase whenever the game is freaking broken, but I wanted to see which would kill more enemies in a mission, stratagems or primaries. Since Command never deigned to equip us with a more detailed breakdown of our liberation activities, this is not something you're easily able to prove one way or another. We can all just kinda guess at which aspects of our loadouts are stronger. That is, until I got an idea.
I may not have a brain, gentlemen, but I have an idea.
The two squirrels chasing each other in my brain paused their epic game of tag long enough for me to realize this is a concept that we can test. We just had to control for certain variables. To get an accurate reading of which would kill more, stratagems or primary weapons, we needed to play the same mission against the same faction on the same planet multiple times to get the right data. The first time we did this, I picked a fire tornado planet like a dumb, and it caused a lot of problems.
Draw your pistol and engage in a good old-fashioned cowboy duel. On 3.
Okay, I won't tell anybody, I promise.
I completely blamed it on the Federation. I false flagged out of them.
I believe you. Another challenge was making sure that we gave an equal shot to both weapon categories. If we ran the Breaker Spray and Pray and put it against 16 sentries, that wouldn't be fair and the data we got would be useless. Much like my mods trying to do the oil puzzle. You might, wait, hang on, I'm not doing it properly then.
I can't even see the puzzle now.
Give me the signal, sir. Do it.
Well, we'll give him another 30 seconds.
I still can't see your face. God damn it, guy.
Eventually, I landed on a good test, which we would conduct on a level 10 Hunter Seed Gloom mission. We did primaries first and had everyone bring pretty much the same loadout. We brought the Coyote, since it's probably the best primary against the Hunter strains, supply packs since they are non-lethal stratagems, and thermite grenades paired with ultimatums so we wouldn't waste a ton of time on shooting chargers in the butt. Then, we cleared the primary objectives as fast as we could, headed to extraction to call in Pelican 1, which also increases spawns, and parked ourselves outside of a bug nest for the remainder of the mission so we could maximize our kills. This run wasn't exactly difficult, but it wasn't easy either. I don't usually rely on my primary this much, so I felt like I had to focus harder than I usually do, and I did die a couple of times. But after 40 minutes of hard work in the oil fields, we extracted and got a total of 879 kills from me, and 2,225 kills from my squad. This was certainly higher than a normal mission, but we did stack the deck as heavily in favor of ourselves as we could. Next, we went on to do exactly the same thing. but for stratagems. In our stratagem run, we were not allowed to use our primary at all. Instead, we brought our favorite sidearms and whatever grenades or stratagems we wanted, including support weapons. For my setup, I brought EATs, Matilda, Terry, and the orbital napalm barrage. My plan was simple. If I encountered a patrol, I would throw a gas grenade and call in Matilda. If there was a bug breach, I would throw my orbital napalm and set up Terry in a good position. While my stratagems and grenades did their work, I just moved through the map, completing everything we needed so we could get to extraction and fill up our E710 reserves. This run was much easier. I had an answer for every situation that did not require my attention to work. I just threw random bullshit at the enemies on cooldown and was able to complete this one with no deaths. Even towards the end of the mission, a Bile Titan or Impaler would pop up only to be met with a forest of EATs. Nothing could get through the sheer spam of stratagems, making this mission very easy. But how did we do?
That's called democracy!
That's right, we killed more enemies without using primaries at all because stratagems are just that damn effective at clearing the field. This might surprise some of you, but the power fantasy in this game does not come from the weapons you are holding. It comes from the giant spaceship in low orbit supporting you specifically. I swear, command calling our weapons primaries has caused more confusion and anger than anything else they've done. And they have a long list of screw-ups. If they'd just been called standard weapons from the start and called support weapons heavy weapons, I think people'd be having more fun with the game, assuming they fix the damn crashes anyway, since they would be killing more stuff and dying less. But this is not a comment on balance. Primaries should feel good to use, and some of them desperately need buffs. But it's to show y'all that this game and its power fantasy is designed around you using your stratagems more than you likely do now. Of course, to be as effective as you can be, you'll want to use all of your tools, primaries included. But like I've said a few times, if you bring something on a mission that you don't use much, you didn't need to bring it. Treat your primary the same way. If you're not using it much and relying on your stratagems, like support weapons, bring something with utility instead, like the Liberator Concussive. Same goes for if you rely heavily on your primary. Bring stratagems that highlight its strengths and compensate for its weaknesses. Even though this does show how effective stratagems are compared to primaries, I won't say this myth is busted just yet. This was a very limited test. So if y'all have any idea for how we can do it better, drop it in the comments, because this is a topic I'm very interested in. Until we get more data or better tools to accurately measure different primary weapons, I'll have to leave this one inconclusive, leaning towards busted. Now for a very dumb myth that I saw on Reddit, the final boss of stupid internet arguments. The solo silo is just a spear rocket. The solo silo is an interesting stratagem that has a lot of applications for stealth gameplay, but because saying solo silo over and over will get my tongue twisted, I'm naming her Sally. Sally has the exact same damage as a spear rocket, but with a few minor differences. She contains all of her anger in a single rocket, and she has the reach to touch the hearts and minds of our enemies from anywhere on the map, provided you can guide her properly.
The missile knows where it is at all times. It knows this because it knows where it isn't.
But because she's the new girl on the block and she isn't able to delete jammers off the map, she's been getting a lot of hate, mostly by equivocating her grace and poise to the lock-on legend himself, the Spear. They might do the same damage and have the same demolition force, but Sally has explosive power. The Spear launcher is able to kill a factory strider in 2 perfect hits to their head, but this is hard to do and isn't exactly reliable. Sally, on the other hand, can completely old yeller this puppy from across the map. This is because she has an armor pin rating of yes, and deals more damage than a 500 kg bomb, with a similar explosive radius. Explosive weapons can hit multiple parts of enemies, so even though a factory strider has more health than she deals in damage, they still go down in 1 hit because of this effect. The downside is that enemies treat her like a sentry, so they will target her if she's in their line of sight, making it very likely for her to be retired early if you just leave her out on the map. She deserves more love from Helldivers, because there's nothing that can say screw that guy in particular as hard as she can. This one is busted. Finally, we have one that should really be common knowledge, but seeing how often I watch my cadets get blown to pieces, it needs some testing. Going prone reduces explosive damage. Thankfully, this one is also very easy to test. I've voluntold 2 of my commandos to join me as we threw 500 kgs at the ground right in front of us to see what would happen. We all wore armor without explosive explosive resistance, and we lined up just like 3 liberty-loving bears. One Helldiver would be standing, one would be crouched, and one would be me, laying on the ground because I knew what was about to happen. There was one minor surprise though. Our standing Helldiver was blown into chunky soup as expected, but our crouching Helldiver actually survived. They still got ragdolled and blown a few feet backwards, but they lived on to test for democracy again. This got us thinking though, does the plug ears emote count as crouching? So we did the test again, and would you know it, we got the same result. One Helldiver turned into spaghetti sauce, me chilling on the ground, and our experimental test subject survived, and got ragdolled again. I love this because it means this emote does what you would expect it to do, meaning this myth is confirmed. Helldivers as a game does not explain anything to you, meaning it is fertile ground for rumors and myths to spawn about what does and does not work in the pursuit of managed democracy. The only way to combat this threat of ignorance is to sacrifice our lives in the pursuit of knowledge and entertainment. So if you want to see more myths busted, and trust me, there's a lot more, I just ran out of time, like the video and I'll make a part 2 if it does well enough. But until next time, this is Commissar Kai, signing out.
Better reach for the sky, red hat bear, and get out of town before this turns into a good old-fashioned cowboy duel. 1, 2, draw!
Of course, we all died except for Wolf.